COVID is not the only epidemic in our nation. We also suffer from racist policies that a culture of white supremacy produces. In a way, that's nothing new. I've been preaching about that for 4 years now. Our congregation has worked in our way to contain the epidemic of racism. Of course, we put up the Black Lives Matter banner sign. We've had teach-ins. Numerous small groups explored racism. We had community forums. We organized a film series. Weekend events on mass incarceration. I successfully urged the Canton police chief to make it mandatory that all officers get anti-bias training. Yet what is really sad in this moment is that I think there has been some progress, but it appears that we have not made much progress, if at all. The deaths, the riots, the protests of the past week only show how sinister and evil racism is as it morphs and adapts. It points to how we need to keep evolving. In the 1980s, crack was deemed a black problem and the solution was prison. While the current, mainly white, a lot of white people with the opioid crisis has been called a health crisis. Whether it's COVID, the culture of white supremacy, crack, or opiate abuse, they're all health problems, as well as spiritual and psychological problems. Now, I'm not going to go into a bunch of statistics. I want to tell you about Andy. Andy is not a character of my creation. Andy is the wiry young man with horned-rimmed glasses, flannel shirts, and cut-off khakis, whom my close group of friends in high school affectionately called Grunge Meister. Andy is not a symbol nor an emblem, nor a sign, nor a statistic. My guess is, though, that we all have had Andys in our life. Or maybe we are or were Andys. Our lockers were both in the hall that led to the wood shop. We were fated to meet, though he was a year older than me. One weekend, Andy picked me up in his stick shift white pickup truck with the rock group everyone loved at the time, Nirvana, in the tape deck. He claimed he was into them before they were popular. We picked up another friend and got some food from a frozen custard stand. It's a Wisconsin thing. We parked in front of our high school and ran to throw the grease-soaked white paper bag at the front door. Andy was our getaway driver, foot on the clutch. We thought we were so punk. My mom paid Andy a few bucks a week to drive me to school every morning. It was sort of on the way for him, sort of out of the way, but the extra money he got, he could buy Marlboro Lights. Sometimes he would come early to pick me up, just to smoke cigarettes and drink coffee with my mother. You see, Andy's mother had recently died of cancer. Andy's mother was beautiful and got Andy into poetry and music. I smoked marijuana for the first time after Andy's mother's funeral. Losing a mother is always big, but for Andy it was something I'm not sure if he ever quite dove into. His father cheated on his mother with the next door neighbor while his mother was going through chemo. By my junior year in high school, I was burned out and I gave up using drugs. Andy didn't. But Andy did go through these straight edge phases where he would give up drugs, except for nicotine and caffeine, that is. My memory was that Andy smoked a lot of marijuana in those days in high school. And when I confronted one close friend about their drug use, they responded by saying, "Don't be so uptight. I like to have fun and party. It's not like I'm Andy or something." With the speakers cracking, the bass pounding, open windows and fists tightened and raised, the police pulled us over on the main street of a working class suburb. They could not get us for anything, so they looked around the car and saw the open pack of cigarettes and the ashtray full of butts, and Andy got a ticket for underage smoking. The skinny punk, the artistic outsider, the anti-school teacher charmer, the stoner songwriter, ended up dating the beautiful and popular girl on the dance team. They got married. He was 21 and she was 20. I remember the ages because he would bring the marriage certificate out so they could drink together at bars. It's a Wisconsin thing. I was a groomsman. The week leading up to the wedding was a long civilized party. I was underage, but it didn't seem to matter. We had swigs of Jim Beam in the basement of the downtown church, the rose window with Martin Luther in the center. Andy was not the typical stoner. Andy read a lot. He majored in history and comparative religions and studied Japanese, even getting a Japanese character tattooed on his leg. Andy graduated magna cum laude from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. The history department asked him to be a teaching assistant and tried to coax him to pursue a PhD. He turned it down to keep working at the coffee shop we both worked at together. There at the coffee shop, he sincerely greeted the regulars and remembered their double skim latte 180 degrees with vanilla orders. The customers were universally cared and pitied for Andy. There was a small cult of Andy. When I was working alone, I was often asked, "How is Andy doing?" In one instance, a regular customer told Andy, "I fell off a ladder, I threw out my back, and the doctors prescribed these powerful pills. Man, you know, I hurt my back last week lifting my guitar amp, and I don't have health insurance. Any chance you could give me a few of those pills?" Andy asked. I witnessed this sort of thing at least twice. How many other people did he do that with? Andy and I went camping every Labor Day weekend. The names of parks had to have drug references for us in order for us to camp there. The first year it was Bong Recreational Area. One year at High Cliff State Park, Andy got caught by a park ranger smoking weed and was given a citation. We had to leave the park in the early morning rain. Andy's marriage was short. The Labor Day weekend in the year of his divorce at Potawatomi State Park, he drank more red wine than he could handle. I was afraid he might die. I cared for him, put him to sleep, and gave him water. I listened to him often, as a good friend does. He told me he was sexually abused as a child. Very soon after the divorce, he was living with a young, beautiful woman. The apartment was always reeked of marijuana smoke. He left his shift at the coffee shop one early afternoon and shockingly came home to a mostly empty apartment. She had left him. He called me at the coffee shop, crying. We played a few gigs together. It was fun. Free alcohol. He called me over for a rehearsal. As soon as I got there, Andy offered me a hit. I was pretty angry. You know, Andy, I like you. In fact, I love you. I came here to be with you and the music, not the drugs. Oh, you're such a hypocrite. You're the one that wants to legalize it. We got into this big philosophical debate about drugs, which Andy probably was going to win, and I cut him off. Andy, either choose me or the drugs, I demanded. Andy chose the drugs. I was angry. How could he throw away 7 years of our friendship? I still hurt from Andy's decision. The next week, I got a call from him at 6 a.m. My answering machine picked up the call. I know you're in there. You can't leave me. I need you. I heard a loud pounding on my door. Then Andy threw his small body at my thick wooden front door. I knew he wasn't just smoking weed any longer. He hung up and called again. I can't lose another friend. Come out. His rage was strong. He kept trying to break down my door. I thought the glass might shatter. He hung up, lit a cigarette, called back again. Okay, maybe you're not in there, and left. December 2014, I went back to Milwaukee to officiate 2 weddings, and I saw Andy at a bus stop. I tried to ignore him, put my collar up and my face in a book. Andy had found another woman who took him in. They always thought they could change him, as I did. Addicted to heroin and prescription opioids, Andy was prescribed methadone and became addicted to that. Andy was no longer Andy. Andy did not sound smart anymore. Andy was literally tripping him over himself. Andy became unrecognizable. January 2017, a Milwaukee Journal Sentinel article was forwarded to me. One 39-year-old man dead. A car crash. The cause of the accident was a medical condition. I studied the accident report and I concluded it was a suicide. Andy passed on his own hurt onto everyone around him. Andy passed on his empire of dirt to me. Everyone does go away in the end, but Andy went too soon. Andy and I had too many memories, too many laughs, too many discussions. Andy moved through a lot of friends. Andy preferred to connect with people whom he had not hurt yet. Counselors, therapists, and psychiatrists did not work. He outsmarted them and told them what they wanted to hear, like he often did to me. You can never quite know someone's sorrow, someone's trouble that they have seen. Yet, I want to make some sense of Andy's life. I've concluded Andy never dealt with the pain of his mother dying. His wife was a motherly figure. When that ended, that was when the downward spiral really began. Drugs stimulate dopamine release in much the same way our brain naturally releases good feeling hormones during the process of attachment to our parents and other loved ones. Andy persistently escaped the pain of his mother, the abuses he endured as a child. At least that is the narrative I tell myself. Andy is a complicated enigma. Andy's pain was real. He let me into his brokenness, and I myself felt helpless and confused. Though Andy understood religion academically, there was something he did not get spiritually. Andy, I think, needed a forgiving fellowship, some authentic human attachment, in other words, love. He needed the higher power, the spiritual awakening, the relationality that is in religion. We individually and as a nation need to face our own hurt, our own pain, our own white supremacy. Otherwise, things will never change. We live in a lonely, fractured world. Too many people are broken. Too many people are addicted. Too many people are overdosing. Too many people are victims of trauma. For all the Andys that are out there, I invite you to come on home. Come on home to the hurt. Come on home to the pain. And come on home to the wholeness of life. For there is more love, more peace, more hope somewhere. Blessed be, and amen.